Hello all dear students of 6th standard, welcome to social science lecture. My name is Ami and today we will be studying about the beginning of human life, some of the more important topics we will be covering today. In last lecture we saw about discovery of fire, then invention of wheel. These were the two greatest, you can say these were the two most important discoveries that they had ever encountered with. So today in this lecture I will be covering some of the topics which were related with life, that how they were leading their life and slowly and gradually what kind of changes were brought by them into their lives, and because of those changes what kind of new discoveries were found by them. So let's start with first one, that is kettle rearing. Generally once you go ahead in different you can say once you go ahead in different standards, once you will be there in 8th and 9th standard, you will be studying about the occupations of people, that according to their work their occupation will be decided, that what activities are done by them, especially primary sectors activities, secondary sectors activities and service sectors activities. So here generally cattle rearing, or it is also known as pastoralism. Here the word nomadism and pastoralism, you may have heard these words previously also, maybe in 3rd or 4th standard or in 5th standard, maybe in environment subject ENV. So here generally they were associated with cattle rearing, they were pastoralists. Generally जिसको many of the times we say them shepherds or cattle rearers. Generally cattle rearing means what? Different cattles they used to keep as a livestock. Livestock means generally primary activity was to hunt animals, birds, whatever things were available to them. Generally those animals used to give them meat and other byproducts along with meat. So meat was the product that used to satisfy the protein need. So meat was there. Now apart from hunting, they had already started doing agriculture activity and related activities which were necessary for them. Now apart from that, cattle rearing. Now along with agriculture, what if some of the times they used to get failed to hunt animals or hunt birds, or any kind of hunting was failed, then what should be done at that time? So generally they started keeping some cattles with themselves. So generally those cattles were useful for them, not just only for the sake of meat but for other things also. By selling those animals they could earn something in return, they could satisfy their other needs also, or you can say barter system started developing in the market. Then along with that milk they used to get, animal skin they used to get, other products or other body parts of animals they started utilizing. So here cattle rearing means to look after. They started looking after different cattle for their own needs. So here cattle rearing started becoming very much important activity for them, because being primitive men, being an ancient person, they were having very less skill with themselves, but whatever skills they were having, they were quite having mastery over those skills. So here cattle rearing was done very much efficiently and proficiently by them as a part of their hunting activity and livestock activity. Now next topic is the cavemen. Here how they started living in different caves, what was the need that they started living in caves, and what kind of specimens we have got from those caves, and from which regions of India we have got those specimens, we have got those examples. So let's see discovery of different places. Here cavemen, जो लोग गुफा के अंदर रहते थे, in many of the books you must have read that many of the people used to live in caves. Especially, let me go further in this, in many of the religions of the world, especially in Buddhism, Jainism and some of the parts of India, even in Hinduism and some of the parts of India where Hinduism was prevalent, generally the concept of cave was quite important, because here in these three religions the worldly pleasures are totally diminished, are totally abandoned by the humans if they choose to be monks or nuns as a part of Hinduism, Buddhism or Jainism. So generally they also used to live in different types of caves which were known as chaityas and viharas, about which you will study later on in 6th standard only, but in semester 2nd. So here discovery of different places are there. Right now also many different places we have found, through which we can get to know that yes, somewhere somehow over those areas, at those areas, some of the sites were there where they used to live. Generally not only for residential purpose, but from these sites, from these caves, they used to get some of the stones, some of the materials through which they could do their work, their daily work. Like some were used as workshop or factory site. Factory site means different stones they were using to satisfy their needs. Generally different stones were needed to chop the meat, to tear different you can say meats of the animals. Then generally for the fire also some types of stones were used, for digging purpose also, to then you can say other sewing purpose also different stones were used. So yes, those things were used generally with the help of these stones. So those sites or those areas were used as workshop or factory site by ancient men. The example is Bhimbetka, that is situated in Madhya Pradesh. This is not the only site through which we can get the information about early cavemen, where they used to live, where they used to spend their lives. Generally, if we talk about the climate before 10,000 years, the climatic situations which were available before 10 to 20,000 years, then generally it was too much severe. Changes started, no doubt changes started taking place after 10,000 years on an average, but the climate was not that much steady. So here, to protect themselves from those severe climates, they had to live in caves. Generally to protect themselves from other wild animals, they had to live in caves. So yes, many information we have got about the cavemen. Then the next is changing climate. The way I said earlier, if you have seen movies like Ice Age 1, 2, 3, 4, there are 4 parts available. If you are going to see that movie, if you are going to watch that movie, many concepts will be cleared in your mind, that how it was before 10 lakh years, before 20 lakh years, before 10,000 years, before 15,000 years, before a lakh years. So on an average, different climatic patterns started coming in front of them, and many of the civilizations started getting diminished because of the changing climate, because hardly they were getting any food to eat. So that food chain started getting collapsed. So the role of men and women. Now this is important to understand, that what kind of occupations, what kind of works were done by men apart and women apart. Means segregation was there, differences were there on the basis of the physical traits. Some of the physical traits that women were possessing, some of the physical traits, or you can say characteristics, which were possessed by men. So according to their physical strength, some of the works were done by men and some of the works were done by women. Suppose if we talk about hunting and gathering, hunting especially activity that requires too much physical strength, your focus. So apart from focus, physical strength was important, because you need to run after that animal whom you are chasing. So generally that was requiring physical activity. So that work used to be done by men or the group of men. So apart from that, if we talk about gathering activity, or to look after young ones, to look after children, to look after household activities, or you can say agriculture activity, then those activities were generally performed by women, because those works were quite important to be looked after. So generally those things were done by women apart. So according to their physical strength, according to their physical characteristics, some of the works were divided between men and women segregately. Next one is early historical age. Here in this chapter you are given some of the informations in your book about Indus Valley civilization or Harappan civilization. Civilization means Sanskriti, जहाँ पे some new things are given, some new explorations are given, and through that we can get to know that how tech savvy, how technology oriented the people were even before 5,000 years. So here the time period is on an average before 5,000 years. Indus Valley civilization that got developed nearby the banks of Indus river. Right now this Harappa city and Mohenjo-daro city. Both the cities are located in the country Pakistan, especially in Sindh province. So generally here, what kind of occupations were carried out? Agriculture was there. Apart from that, their roads, their bathing system, their buildings, their granaries, their sewage system, everything was available even before 5000 years, that too with proper and great precision. So yes, all these things we can get to know. Then what was their food pattern that they used to do, what was the first crop that they had grown, with the help of what particular animal they started doing agriculture activity, what was the first metal that they used. Generally it is considered that copper was the first metal that was used by men properly, and after then that, in especially this civilization, Indus Valley civilization, that was flourished in India, that was one of the most ancient civilizations of the world. So generally on an average, many of the other you can say civilizations were available at the time of this Harappan civilization in the world. Like if I talk about Mesopotamian civilization, Chinese civilization, Egyptian civilization, yes, these Sumerian civilization, these civilizations were there with Harappan civilization. So here also, apart from copper, they also started using the bronze metal, that was an alloy of tin and copper. So on an average, with the passage of time, different activities started getting done by them. So here scope was more about the technology. So I hope you will be clear with this chapter, because up till now many new things we have seen, that how people started getting knowledge about different things with the passage of time. If their lives started becoming complex, then how they used to get the solution of those complexity? Through their mind, through their skills, through the knowledge that they have got from their ancestors. So yes, with the help of different phenomena which were available to them, they started utilizing those things, and they started converting those things into a technology. So yes, in this lecture we saw about cattle rearing, cavemen, then changing climatic patterns, then role of men and women which was different according to their physical strength, then early historical age. Yes, many of the monuments are also available at that time, many of the objects are also there, many of the idols are there, many seals are present, ornaments are there, then different toys, utensils which can tell us about this historical age, through which we can get to know, especially through our archaeological survey of India, that is ASI, that looks after this historical age, that studies different historical ages. So yes, we can get to know that how people were, how they started living in ancient time, that too before 5 to 10,000 years. I hope you will be clear with this lecture. Then if you will be having any doubt, you can write it down in your book, and whenever school reopens, at that time you can ask me. Thank you all.